Lucy, how are you doing today with everything? Because that debut by Caitlin Clark, the number of turnovers there was something you don't normally see. It's a record for the Fever. It's the worst turnover debut in the history of the sport.
She's breaking records. I don't see what your point is.
One game in, I mean.
Where was Aaliyah Boston?
Yeah.
Stugotz, what are your thoughts here on how
I'm not sure what to do, Dan. I don't know how to attack this. Normally, a player with this much buildup, I would attack them. And having that lousy performance last night, I would say it was terrible. I would say that they're a bust. I would say choker. The moment was too big. But this is a different territory, different terrain. I don't know how to handle it. Lucy, tell me how.
Stop calling her lousy.
Okay.
It was her first day on the job. It takes time to adjust. Heck, I've been working here like 8 months. I'm still adjusting.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to give Caitlin a little bit of grace because she's perfect and she's done nothing wrong outside all the turnovers.
She was the leading scorer on her team.
She had 20, yep.
Yeah, but inefficiently.
Well, I'd argue they were the worst team in the league last year, and that's how they got her.
Careful, Dan.
They were bad, and Aaliyah Boston is the key to success for Caitlin. She's the best big Caitlin has ever played with, and Aaliyah was nowhere to be found last night.
It was interesting to see professional defense on her, though.
Ohio State played her like that. Look, there's going to be an adjustment period. I've always said there'd be an adjustment period. She will learn. She will, you're in a different league now. The rules are different. The physicality's different. It was a wake-up call. I have no worries.
I think what you're saying about the first day on a new job is accurate. Like, people are nervous. They try too hard. They want to impress. So how many games do I have to go before I can call her a choker?
Well, you told me to be careful with inefficiently, and you've gone lousy, terrible, bust, and something else in the last 90 seconds.
I could do these things. I'm asking questions. You cannot, okay?
You are allowed to ask questions. Dan,
Yes.
You are not allowed to ask questions. Stu, great question.
Thank
5
you.
games. Give her 5 games.
5 games? Okay.
I think that's plenty of time. I think
good.
she'll do great.
All right.
You think Ohio State played her the way Carrington played her?
Carrington is a different level. Obviously, that's a huge adjustment, but you watch the games that Iowa struggled in last year, Caitlin was guarded like that. And so there is a key to stopping Caitlin Clark, but what makes Caitlin great is when she's not scoring and she's not, really active, you still need to put 2 defenders on her, so that opens up the opportunity for everyone else. So the supporting cast, as well as Caitlin, need to play a little bit better.
Roy, I'm hurting for you today because you lost to Boston last night, but I am happy for you, and you were very happy that you have your T-shirt now at lebatardaf.com, and that T-shirt I'm going to present to Stugotz right now as he says that Caitlin Clark was lousy and terrible and maybe close to a bust. That T-shirt is, did you watch the game?
I did, yeah. 30 minutes of it. Right up until the Mecca.
Where did you find it?
ESPN2, the Deuce.
All right. It seems like he was telling the truth.
Yeah.
You watched part of the game.
The first half?
I watched the first half hour.
She played so much better in the second half, too.
Yeah.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but man's keep walking. Yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
There have been a lot of people wrong many times during the same series in that Denver-Minnesota series, Stugotz. And it's one of the reasons that I told you I was so excited for how interesting that series was going to be. If you were not watching last night what happened between Denver and Minnesota, and both of those teams are championship worthy. But what's about to happen to Anthony Edwards if he loses is we're going to spend a lot of time talking about him not having enough help. Mm-hmm. You want me to power through it?
Yeah. Yep. He has plenty of help, by the way. I don't want to hear about it.
Well, he doesn't. He's got 2 All-Stars. A Defensive Player of the Year is one of those All-Stars, and he's got the 6th Man of the Year. But he and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander do not have exactly what Jokić has, which is a number 2 that he's making feel like an eternal number 2 because, like Shaq, he can do that for Kobe and for Dwayne and for, what does Tony call Anthony Hardaway? Anfrini Hardaway?
I don't think Kobe views himself as a number 2. I don't think Kobe viewed himself, apologies, as a number 2 ever. Not for a single day, even while playing with Shaq.
Fine, but Shaq made everyone who was his number 2 during his time, he made them into eternal greats, the way Micheal Jordan helped make Scottie Pippen an eternal great so that we wouldn't do what we're about to do for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Anthony Edwards in their youth, is protect them by saying they don't have enough help. Anthony Edwards wasn't great last night, but Jokić put up what is an all-time performance, and it's a ho-hum performance for him.
Jokić stat of the day, breaking records so often that we're all bored, so blasé. Jokić stat of the day. You know how they say you can get too much of a good thing? Well, what if they're right? And not that you care, but here's another boring-ass amazing thing that Nikola Jokić did recently. It's the boring Jokić stat of the day on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz.
There was a piece of sports art in that game where Kevin Harlan is providing the accents and the framing on the end of that game. Denver's up 103-92, and Jokić is at the three-point line, and Gobert has come out to meet him. And I want to get into the basketball dorkiness of what it is Denver is doing there to Gobert, because you eliminate the number 1 defense in the league when you pull Gobert out like that and allow him to not be a rim protector anymore. He ceases to be the defensive player of the year. But the way Harlan framed what Jokić did, where he's at the top of the key and Harlan goes in very slow. The crowd noise supports it. It was really, really beautiful if you appreciate sports excellence. All of it, the broadcasting of it, the noise in a stadium. Harlan described it as Jokić dancing with Gobert because they're at the top of the key, and then Jokić makes the 3 to finish the game with 3 minutes left. And Harlan just screams, he's putting together a masterpiece.
It was great.
Because he goes for 40 points, Stugotz, with no turnovers.
Crazy.
Like, with no turnovers. Are you kidding me? How do you play the defensive player of the year, the 4-time defensive player of the year, guy who's going to make the Hall of Fame because of his defense, and you have no turnovers? You go 8 for 9 on him. And Murray told a story the other day that informs some of what you're watching in that series. Murray said that earlier in his career, Jokić was playing against Gobert late in the game. And Gobert is waving off the help that's coming over to help him on Jokić. He's waving it off. And Jokić, who hasn't shown us much personality, says to Gobert, according to Murray, brother, I have 47.
I love that.
What are you doing waving off the help you clearly need? And I know we do this thing where we rip everybody, but I think Anthony Edwards has what needs to be the correct analysis. This is the guy people are putting in a class with young Micheal Jordan, and he's got the correct analysis after the game.
I just laugh. That's all I can do. I mean, I can't be mad because he good, man. I think I said that after game 1 when we won, and game 2, like he the MVP, he's the best player in the NBA. And he showed it the last 3 games in a row. Yeah, tonight he was special tonight. I got to give him his flowers. It was. I mean, I don't know what we were supposed to do. He was that guy.
Minnesota really missed Mike Conley last night as well. So when we talk about the injuries all throughout the playoffs, that's where Anthony Edwards was really struggling most, is there was no other shot creator on the floor for them. They were playing without a point guard. And so Denver defensively was just blitzing Anthony Edwards nonstop, forcing the ball out of his hand. Karl Anthony Towns actually had a very good game, but they had nothing else from there.
But you have to marvel at his efficiency, Jokić, because Jalen Brunson had 44 points on 35 shots last night. Jokić had 40 points on 22 shots last night. He was 15 of 22. I mean, my goodness.
The thing that he is, I don't know what else you can say other by way of compliment or tribute than Anthony Edwards saying, yeah, I just have to laugh because that's the best player in our league and there's nothing you can do about it and I don't know what to do and I'm just going to laugh. And they're going to go home, and I hope they win there because I want to see a champion tested in a Game 7. But if you like the basketball nerdiness, and Jeremy, I know you do, when you go brush screens, inverted ball screens for a center, like like they're using him in a way. You realize Wembanyama is going to do all this into the game. Jokić is preparing us for the unstoppability of Wembanyama when the game gets ruined. We're not yet at the game being ruined, but the cement mixer can do it. And next up is the pogo stick 7'4" guy who's going to get better. And they're going to create all sorts of things offensively for these people that make it possible to have a 40-point game with no turnovers. You realize that would have been the stat line if Jokić was playing against us, right? It would have been more points, but it would have been similar in terms of no turnovers, and you can't do anything about it.
He turns Rudy Gobert into an ineffective defender when that guy's been a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, and it's in part because you have Jamal Crawford last night referring to him as Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Wilt Chamberlain, all in the span of like 5 different possessions.
Left out Michael, though.
Let's talk about something here, though, Stugotz, as it relates to what the big man has been in that sport, because I see that Shaquille O'Neal is now telling TMZ that he is selling gummies, and I want to ask you.
What isn't he selling?
What?
Well, this is what I wanted to ask you guys, because when I think of selling yourself, I think of Kevin Hart, I think of Kiss, the rock band. And I wanted to ask you, in sports, who finishes in second place to putting themselves out there and selling every last thing to Shaquille O'Neal? And the reason I asked the question is because throughout my history, Stugotz, back when I wrote a magazine cover story on Shaquille O'Neal, I was informed by ESPN, I'd never known this before, that Shaquille O'Neal doesn't sell on magazine covers because the big man doesn't sell on magazine covers. And it was then later explained to me when I started doing some of the research that America doesn't have a connection point with the big man. So when I ask you this question, who's the second most popular big man ever? Is it Bill Walton? Like just a person who gets to be likable and gets to be an everyman and gets to be a commercial spokesman for everything, because the big man generally isn't like that way. And in the cases of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, for example, it can be so awkward to grow up tall as a kid that you can become someone who just doesn't like people very much.
He's a giant that everybody loves.
But he's 6'6" in this sport.
That's a giant. Yeah.
Yeah, but in this sport, 6'6" is not a giant.
Boban.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Bo Bent.
We love him.
He's gotten more commercial appeal than
How
almost
good he is.
any other. Well, that for sure. But then that's a good nomination.
It's a great one.
Anyone
yes.
of that size. But it's also with him, as it was with sort of Manute Bol or Sean Bradley. It's sort of you get to make fun of him, right? He's a crowd favorite. I'm talking about big man who's also dominant, and then you love him even though he's ruining your sport because you can't stop him. He's too big, and people think he's been given a gift in the crib even though he was the 41st pick in the draft. Like, they think he's been given a DNA gift that makes him preternaturally gifted in this regard, and obviously it helps, but as John Amici likes to say, there are a lot of 6'10" people working at Subway.
Taco Fall.
Not a bad one.
No,
People love
Go
Taco
Knicks.
Fall.
but also
A
not
novelty.
but not excellent. Yeah, I'm not talking about the novelty. I'm talking about somebody who dominates. No, look, it's hard to do. You're
He's
not
a
gonna,
nice guy.
He is. You're going to have a hard time finding a second place for someone who's dominated a sport, sort of wrecks it with his size, and you just sort of think it's unfair.
Did Wilt do a lot of commercials in his time? Like when he was at the height of Wilt Chamberlain, was he doing a lot of stuff? I don't know.
I'm
He
guessing.
seems like a guy that would be.
I'm guessing that,
Right.
yes, that Wilt Chamberlain got plenty.
Yao Ming.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's
How about
excellent.
Wemby? Is this in the future of Wemby? If he's not having his guards punch Britney Spears?
It seems to be
Allegedly.
in his wheelhouse, and especially if he's got the Nike marketing. Can you guys get for me, please, the Nike commercial campaign on Wembanyama so I could just show people? Because this is a big part of it, Stugotz. I miss the excellence of the sports commercial. I miss the excellence of the commercial in general. I tend to be pretty disappointed even when the Super Bowl arrives because I want things that are more clever and more creative. And ESPN spoiled me because with Wyman Kennedy, they got so good at the marketing of sports that they were doing exactly what Nike was doing. And Nike does this for Wembanyama, and this is going to help a great deal because I will remind you that Micheal Jordan, while not terribly interesting in front of microphones, got framed the mythology by Spike Lee and Nike in a way that really served him, even though he wasn't giving them words to help.
274 field goals, 128 three-pointers, 254 blocks. No player in league history has averaged 20 points, 10 boards, 3 assists, 3 blocks, 1 steal, and 1 3 per game before.
Did I see that right? I believe aliens are real and hoop among us.
How do you feel about that?
Oh, Goosies.
I mean, do something first.
Sounded like he did something.
It did sound like everything in that commercial was saying the facts that would allow someone to surmise that he had done something, except for America's foremost critic right here.
Oh, he did something. He went 22 and 60. I mean, come on, please. Have a winning season. Just once.
He has no help.
Yeah, it's a team issue.
I don't care.
You talk about a gift in the crib, Dan. 1 out of 6 people who reach 7 feet tall are in the NBA.
Wow.
1 out of 6. So if you just grow to be 7 feet, you're in the NBA. So there really is a gift in the crib. If you are talking about just being born tall, you're going to end up there.
It certainly helps, but what you just said to me is that 5 out of 6 aren't. So there are people
Different in the population under 7 feet, though, Dan. I
Agreed.
imagine that's
Yes.
a lot bigger percentage.
Thank
It
you.
really stinks for those who don't make it, who grow to 7
God,
feet
what a
tall and don't make it.
nightmare.
Oh, my goodness.
You have to feel like a giant loser, right?
Because you're always
Literally.
asked if you play basketball
course
when
you
you're
are.
that height. No,
No.
I'm an accountant.
It is problematic when you want to shower in hotels. It's hard if you want to sleep in a normal human bed. I don't know how many of you. How do you guys feel about your feet hanging off of a bed while you're sleeping? Do any of you do that? At Le Batard Show, Juju, do any of you sleep with your feet off the bed?
Do you know how small the bed would have to be for my feet to be hanging off of them?
That's a funny visual.
He's sleeping in a dollhouse.
I do this thing with my feet where I flap up because I like the cover. I don't want my feet sticking out of the covers, so I lift my legs up so the covers fall underneath my feet and flap it down. So it's a little cocoon. I create a little cocoon at my feet so my feet can't get out.
Cute.
Every night.
Some of my favorite videos on TikTok and YouTube are just tall people's perspective. Like there's this one super tall guy that just films what he sees at the grocery store, and you see like the top of the like shopping aisles, and you're like, oh my God, I had no idea it looked like that up there.
How annoying do you think you guys would find it if every time you bathed and showered, you couldn't get under the nozzle? That the nozzle in a hotel wasn't where you needed it to be to put it over your head. I've told you before, one of those commercials that Shaq does for that insurance he doesn't use, he is singing over the curtains and the nozzle is around his neck, and I don't think it's a joke. I think that's just how that shower looked.
Are you talking about the general?
Whichever insurance he's marketing for that he doesn't, that we have accused him of not using. Billy, I do want to talk to you about what you brought up correctly, which is, what does Shaq not sell?
I don't even mean that it's an insult. Like, I don't understand why people think selling out is a bad thing. I'm for sale. Sales, Feldman, I'm here.
Yep.
Want to give me some money to promote some stuff? I'm open to it.
My brother used to say that all the time because people accused him of being an art sellout, and he's like, really? Do you know how hard this is to do, to make money, to get out of bed and make something that people want to buy? Okay. You can go ahead and criticize me for selling too much. I'll take that as a criticism.
I think my favorite sellout quote comes from Pitbull, and like I'm paraphrasing it, where he said something along the lines of, I can't feed my kids with Grammys.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Can you feed your kids with Grammys? Because I think you can, actually. If you win Grammys, I think you can. But point taken on selling out. But Kevin Hart, I believe, or I may have this confused with Kiss, one of them has their face on underwear. Maybe both of them. And I don't know what is too far for you guys, but these are the three I think of. Do you guys have a fourth in terms of somebody who will say yes to anything and will sell whatever it is that your product is, and it doesn't seem to push off sponsors in any way?
I sold the Dove Healer.
So you're nominating yourself for fourth place?
I would sell anything, Dan.
It feels like Peyton Manning is heading in that direction.
That's a good
He's on
one.
a lot of stuff.
Yep.
I have something to tell you, Stu. So when we went to the SEC championship game, Bush's Baked Beans did like a giveaway thing, and we won a prize, and we were going to send it to Stu, and they never delivered it, and it was a can opener that every time you used it had Peyton Manning's voice, and it was called Peyton Canning, and that was supposed to be for you.
Oh, my God.
But they never sent it to us.
I think
they lied.
You sent me a text saying I have a great gift being sent to the studio for you, and I've been searching for it every single day. That was it?
Bush's Baked Beans did not give it. And the thing is I'm terrible when I buy gifts for people. I immediately tell them. So the fact that it took me till now to tell you was a huge win.
We need to get that. We need to shame the Peyton Canning people into sending what...
Bush's Baked Beans. Did you meet Duke the dog?
I did. I got a picture with him.
Wow.
The thing in my parents' house that always makes me laugh is when I hear in the other room my father with a bottle opener opening something up, and then I hear Boog Shambi's 1997
I have that.
home run call of, let me tell people what it is before you tell them that you have
So
it,
excited.
of Alex Gonzalez's home run in 1990. Was it 1997 or 2003?
2003, yeah.
2003, Alex Gonzalez says, "Oh, I'm of that age now." When I conflate,
You're mixing up World Series?
when I conflate eras and I put 1997 players on the 2003 team.
Renteria 97, Gonzalez 2003.
Thank you,
You got it.
Stugotz.
Yeah.
But my father in the other room, I'll hear the crack and the fizz, and then the voice of Boog Shambi taking me to 21 years ago. Boog Shambi featured on the latest edition of Pablo Torre Finds Out.
This is a bottle opener that
Yes.
has this call just automated to
Yes.
play. Where can I get one?
Billy, you have one, don't you?
I lied.
Oh, but you have a collection of Marlins
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can go
memorabilia.
through my Marlins closet if you want and see what treasures I have that you can have. I thought one day that having, like, multiples of these things would, like, have some value, and I realized, oh, only I care about this, and I just have a bunch of junk.
At one point, it's not junk. We're doing a documentary with some people who have baseball card collections, and it will not be junk for your daughter, and it will not be junk off in the future. Okay.
I don't know if my daughter wants a Ross Gloat anything.
Billy, if I took care of the baseball cards I had as a kid, oh my God, how much money I would have. Seriously. I mean, I have a lot already. But
I still have an ongoing feud with my childhood neighbors from behind. I don't even know who they are, where I could find them. I assume they're in prison with what they did to me, but that's fine. They went and they took my baseball card, like little whatever it is, like folder, because you used to have a folder with baseball cards. And you had the slots you'd put the baseball cards in, right? So they're like, let's trade baseball cards. And I was like, cool. And they're like, pass us your book of baseball cards, and then like we'll see what we like, because there's a fence between our yard and their yard. And there was like a fence there. So I passed them my like folder, my binder with all my baseball cards in it. And then I had some of these like MVP, like hologram Topps cards. And then I noticed when my folder came back, I didn't have any of those cards left in my folder. And they gave me just some crap cards. So I hope they're in prison or in hell.
Wow, very strong.
Stealing cards from me as a young child. It taught me to never trust. So I guess I did learn a valuable lesson that day.
How much do you think I can get for an Andy Fox bobblehead?
I want to ask the question of the group before Billy answers this, because I found something the other day, and right now it is in my home in a place, and I keep forgetting to bring it and ask Billy off air if he wants it, but I'm just going to ask the group. I have a small 1993 baseball writers card from the first original Marlins season that has Marlins stuff on it and is obviously something that is old and also represents symbolically. I had that taken away by the Hall of Fame because of what I did with my vote whenever it is that I did that, and I wondered if Billy would want it. Do you guys think that that is something that Billy, a junk collector, a bit of a hoarder, somebody who has memorabilia, somebody who has...
Would you say someone who... Hold on a second.
Forget when
Would
I said...
you say someone who oversees a museum, would you call them a hoarder? Because they're just collecting old crap.
Well, if that person had it all in the trunk of their car, yes.
I have a closet. It's in a closet.
But unfair to you to call you a general hoarder, a memorabilia hoarder, somebody...
Collector, connoisseur.
Okay. Do you guys think that this is something Billy would want? Yes or no question?
Sure.
Yeah.
That wasn't an option, Roy.
Yes, a yes or no question.
I mean, sure is a connotation of yes.
Yes or no.
It's an undercutting yes.
I mean, I didn't say maybe.
It's like yeah, sorta.
There were two options, though. I mean,
Billy, would you want it? I'm not going to test the rest of the
I don't
room
understand what it is. It's
you know
just
where it's going
a
now.
paper that says that you're a writer?
It's not a paper. It's a baseball. It's one of, I don't know how many writers there are in the Baseball Hall of Fame. I don't know whether they've got 800 voters, 900 voters a year. It's or actually, yeah, it's just membership into the club that gets to vote in the Hall of Fame. I didn't know whether you'd want it or not.
So
I was going to bring it in and ask you.
You're doing is offering to donate to the collection I curate. We'll accept your donation. We'll put a little plaque next to it in the museum that opens up one day.
Wasn't an option.
By the way, Ryan Reynolds also a whore. Most of them are his own products,
That's a
but
good one.
he's in commercials for everything.
They're all his own products. They're all.
I
things
think he owns a
has.
piece of like a lot of the things that he.
Clooney led the way for all these guys on that. Clooney decided to put his name on things and then gives his friends suitcases full of cash because he makes so much money on the side.
Ryan Reynolds has cell phone company and alcohol. He's now turned Rob McElhaney into a commercial person. Like, how did you do that? The guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? It's amazing what Ryan Reynolds has done with that.
No more celebrity alcohol brands. We're good. We've had enough. Invest in something else.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. No more celebrity alcohol brands, yes or no?
It's Kiss on the underwear.
It's not Kevin Hart?
No.
Kevin Hart's face is not on underwear?
I did Google Kevin Hart underwear, but that's not what I got.
Okay. I may end up being wrong on this, Stugotz, because I really have enjoyed that OKC team, and you have them being eliminated in this round when they got down 2-1. But it's the youngest team in the league. It's one of the youngest teams ever. But I do feel like we're headed to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander really not actually having enough help, because he doesn't even have a Karl Anthony Towns. Like, Holmgren may become that at some point. But you guys helped me with this, because when I saw the shot chart on him beating Dallas, I was like, holy shit, that's more mid-range than DeMar DeRozan. That's like all mid-range stuff, and he's great at the mid-range stuff. But it did make me wonder, has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander replaced DeMar DeRozan as the king of the mid-range? Because that team is really good, but I think the winner of Minnesota and Denver is the one that's going to end up winning the West and then ending up playing against Boston, because you saw with Anthony Edwards right now, you do need a specific kind of help when you run up against these championship-level defenses and you don't have a second place to put the basketball. In fact, I would say, Stugotz, that given what Jimmy Butler did to Karl Anthony Towns' reputation, where what he stained him with is you're soft. You and Wiggins are soft. Wiggins won a championship since. Karl Anthony Towns is shooting 50 times in the All-Star game, but do you trust him? Game 7 in Denver, Anthony Edwards needs some help. Do you trust Karl Anthony Towns? Because Karl Anthony Towns is more talented as an offensive player than anyone OKC has, not named Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Towns had a good game last night. I mean, he was 10 of 19 from the field.
Towns is excellent. Yes. Towns 10 years ago, Towns 30 years ago would have been Michael Jordan.
Easy.
Towns 30 years ago, if wherever it is that you put the place on, athletes are much better today than they were during a different time. Someone who plays like Karl Anthony Towns would have been in the post and only in the post, and would have never been allowed to either dribble or go near the three-point line.
And now in today's game, he's just a poor man's Jokić. I feel bad for him. He would be like a perennial all-star in any other
Didn't
era.
he win the three-point competition?
Yeah, he's one of the greatest shooting big men of all time. Like, he would have been Dirk, even if he just played when Dirk was around, because he's that talented. And yet, here we are constantly going, do you trust him?
Soft. No, but that's what he's, right? That's what he's going to get. This is not going to fall on Edwards. He's not going to have a lot of games like yesterday's. Like, that's not going to happen.
Well, it's his second time he's had that game in the last 3, so... Dan, that's why the comparisons to Michael Jordan are unfair to Anthony Edwards. You set this expectation for this guy. He's not. There's never going to be another Michael Jordan. Everyone just stop it.
But
okay, it's not fair to him.
Okay, and what's not fair to us is you continually giving takes that can't be disproven for 9 years. Like that.
What do you mean?
This is your wheelhouse right here. The idea
MJ?
that you do this great thing where you give an opinion that cannot, like we got you with Alex Smith and Mahomes. Because thankfully Mahomes got great within 2 or 3 years. But usually we can't keep track of you giving takes that cannot be disputed until Anthony Edwards turns 33.
That's the game, Dano.
The thing with Anthony Edwards and Michael Jordan, though, isn't Denver right now sort of like what the bad boy Pistons were to Michael Jordan? Like, he went up against him. He lost early in his career. They needed to sort of revamp the roster a little bit. He eventually gets past this really great team, and he becomes Michael Jordan.
But you have Minnesota being here every year if that's the case. The West is so good and getting better so quickly. I'm not certain Minnesota is going to be here every single year. I'm not.
Dan, I'm distracted because we talked about this last week, and I can't help but wonder if you're wearing a shirt under your hoodie.
I'm not.
Wow.
Attaboy.
Wow. I'm putting that on the board. Stugotz says that he doesn't wear a shirt under his hoodie. It turned into this giant debate. We were all kind of confused about it, but I haven't stopped wondering if you're wearing a shirt under that. Not in an inappropriate way.
If there's
just
a place,
in terms of record keeping.
If there's a place to do that, it'd be in South Florida, right? Of
course,
it's the only place in
this
America
studio
where there's a sweater without shirts. South Florida.
Well, I hesitated to put this on at all because we're headed toward 98 and 99 degrees here this week.
And the air was on the fritz earlier this week.
But I couldn't have layers today, and I had to run out of the house in a hurry and just throw something on, and so this is what I chose. You can't go layers in South Florida. When it's about to approach. The low today was 80, and it's about to approach 98 and 99.
Looks good. It's a good-looking hoodie.
Thank you. Lucy, that is leboart.com if you want any of the stuff that my brother
Is it comfy? You don't
made.
need a shirt.
Yeah,
It's comfortable.
It is very
No
comfortable.
shirt
Still
necessary.
selling, huh? I love him.
You got me thinking about OKC and what they need. Like, don't they need, like, do they have a veteran? Who's like the old guy on OKC? Is it all just young guys? Because I'm thinking if they don't have a vet, if they need to add a piece, Stu, follow me here.
Yeah.
Durant back in OKC.
No, I'm thinking LeBron. Like, he's already praised their
Wow.
GM. He loves that team. I'm thinking if there's a team in the Western Conference LeBron should go to, and he shouldn't, by the way. He should go to the East, but I'm thinking it might be OKC.
Their vet right now is Gordon Hayward.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what OKC needs. They got to bring someone in. Not someone to steal the shine, and I guess Durant would. Durant would kind of steal the shine, so it can't be Durant. Maybe Paul George? I don't know.
Did you guys see Kendrick Perkins? Perk was saying that Kevin Durant, good fit in Miami. What are we hearing about this?
Every year we've heard that for
I
like
know.
10 years.
We heard that about Jimmy, too. Jimmy ended up here eventually. Kyle Lowry, too, and then once he got here, everybody hated him.
Okay, maybe I don't need to explain this to our group or the audience, but OKC as an entity, this is one of the things that will make Sam Presti an executive for all times. The fact that they could kidnap young people and make them live in Oklahoma City for 7 and 8 years without free agency or an ability to get away because they can give them more money is one of the most unfair and ruthless things in the NBA. And you thinking that LeBron James would use his power, he'll choose Akron because it's his hometown, will use his power not to work in LA or Miami, but to work in OKC, or that maybe Durant because he's going back to a place he's already been. But people who get out of OKC generally don't go back.
What if they draft Bronny? Think about it.
I went to Oklahoma City a year ago for the softball World Series, and I had the same Uber driver 3 separate times while I was there.
It's small.
Oh, no.
Eventually, we were like, "Hey, Mark, how's it going?" Like, he just kept showing up.
That is, you have to get the young players early before they've seen the world, because once they travel, they all realize, wait a minute, I don't want to live here. And Presti shows up. You got a 7-year deal. You're not going anywhere. I've got so many draft picks. Do you understand how I've built this thing? I could lose Paul George, and I will just replenish forever. Poor Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
He's stuck.
He's
He was
going to get
traded from Los Angeles.
He's going to get rich there. He's gotten rich there, and he's going to want soon to get out of there, and Presti's not going to let him. OKC is Stairway to Heaven. Or no, I'm sorry, Hotel California. I got the wrong one.
Wow.
Hotel California. You can never leave. You're not allowed to leave. You just sort of get stuck there. Because if you think LeBron would choose that,
I mean, he's choosing winning championships. That's what should be, and his son, that's what should be what's important to LeBron James at this stage of his career. It's why I say OKC. It's why I say the Knicks. It's why I say the Celtics. If they don't get it done this year, that's where LeBron should go.
I'm guessing
trying to help him out.
I'm guessing that LeBron is thinking to himself that if there are 9 teams a piece away, he can be that piece at 9 places that aren't OKC.
Perhaps.
Well, according to Greg Cody, he's still in his prime, so he can go anywhere.
I mean, the fact that LeBron, at the age of 40, is dictating who the next Lakers coach is going to be, doing this for his son, getting Coach K out of retirement to be some sort of guy that presides over J.J. Redick. It's amazing. The leverage that man has over the NBA's most popular and best organization is insane. He's 40 years old. 40 years old. And he still has this kind of leverage. That's incredible.
Well, you say it's incredible, and it is. I will say that it's what he has been for 15 years.
I know.
And it's why
but that he's still here.
No, but he revolutionized the power a player can have. People are tired of hearing me talk about that here, but it's been fascinating to watch, and he still uses that leverage now. But you mentioned J.J. Redick, and I wanted to talk about the back and forth between J.J. Redick and Doc Rivers, because J.J. Redick may indeed become the coach of the Lakers, go straight to the front of the line. And you and I were having the discussion in 2010. Stugotz and I were saying, if you could get LeBron James in his prime at 25, would you be okay if he installed Maverick Carter as the coach? And we agreed, yes, that's fine.
Yep.
Maverick Carter can be the coach. I'll get a whole bunch of good assists, and I'll figure it out after that. But if he wants to run the team, I will let him run the team because I will be getting that player at 25 years old. So if LeBron James can indeed get both his son and the coach in Los Angeles.
And Coach K.
Well, what are you doing now?
There's a report that Coach K would come.
He's helping the
yeah.
Lakers pick their new coach.
Yeah.
He's a consultant.
I wonder who he's going to pick.
Chris Quinn got an interview.
Could you imagine having that much power as LeBron? We're like, okay, we have our coach already picked out.
That's what I'm saying.
Coach K, I always wanted to play for you. We did a Team USA, whatever, but you stayed at Duke, then you retired. Here's a little paycheck as a consultant, even though we know exactly who we're going to hire already. You just do the work. You walk around. Oh, let me interview this person, that person. Oh, wow, JJ, perfect fit. Let's hire him. $200,000, please.
That's what you think consulting work is?
Well, when you're Coach K, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, for an NBA team.
I'd say it's
Is that not what consulting work is? Let me tell you what consulting work is, okay? I have my finger on consulting work because that is my future dream job. This is what you do. You go to a place, and the place is like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to fix these problems. And then you're like, okay, here's how you fix the problems. You want to do it? And they're like, And you're like, okay, perfect. Pay me, please. And then they pay you, and then that's it. And then they listen to you or they don't. It doesn't matter. You just go on to someone else's problems.
I think Meadowlark Media should hire you as a consultant.
Oh,
you
I'm
can
down.
feel free to do that here. Well, I felt like we were doing that already, and you're not participating.
As a consultant?
Yeah, I feel like you should be a consultant to everything we do here, as opposed to someone who actively tries to destroy.
But as I said, no one listens to me,
Yeah,
so
well, but
I have that part of the consulting
right.
down.
you try to actively destroy the job from the inside. That's not a
Got to
consultant.
break it down to build it back
No,
up.
It's an inside job. What happens around here is consistently an inside job.
That's a good. Inside Man was a good movie. Not that we're talking about that, but wow, one of my favorite
But
Denzel movies.
you're the opposite. Put it on the poll. Is Inside Man one of your favorite Denzel movies?
Well, it is. I just told you.
No, not you. I said put it on the
Asking the
poll.
audience,
I'm
yes.
asking America.
What is the opposite of a consultant?
It's him.
Oh, it's not.
It is. It is you. Put it on the poll. Is Billy
I
Gill?
find all these problems. I'm at the center of them.
You're the causer of the problem. I really do think that it would be Billy's anarchist dream for Meadowlark to pay him as a consultant, and then at the end of his findings, he comes to me with a report, and he says with a giant smile on his face, Dan, your problems throughout your company, they're all me. I've discovered the problem. They are all me.
But the good news, I have the solution.
Promote me.
No one better equipped to solve the Billy problem than Billy.
Sam Morril is with us. This is early for him. He's a late-night comic. He lives a big, loud life at night, and he's got more of those T-shirts than any human being I know. There it is, the Isaiah Hartenstein Die Hard T-shirt. Look at him. He's feeling himself today. I was surprised you weren't at the game yesterday. I should tell the people, he's our senior Knicks correspondent. He's the commissioner of fandom. He's got shows coming up in Lexington, in Southern California, in Atlantic City, Rochester. He'll be in Miami. And same time tomorrow is his Netflix special. What happened? I thought for sure you would be there soaring behind your team last night.
If there's a game 7, I'll be there, man. I get too nervous, man. I'm not fun to watch these games with. I'm panicking. I'm a wreck. Thank God they blew that one out in the second half. But yeah, I'm not fun to watch these with. I don't want to be there.
Do you want a game 7?
Of course not. I said if there is one, I'll be there, and I'll definitely be there in the next round. But I was pretty nervous yesterday. I got to be honest.
Sam, you haven't been nervous throughout this. You've told me at every turn that you think you can beat Boston. What happened?
Well, I forgot that Jalen Brunson is like King Henry V, and he doesn't need to have his full force. He can be outnumbered, and he can still have a depleted army and win the war.
Mm-hmm. Sam, I thought the same thing. After Game 3, they squandered an opportunity, Game 3, to win that game on the road, go up 3-0. It came back 2-2. I was very nervous headed into last night.
You thought the same thing, that Jalen Brunson was like King Henry?
Well, that too, yes. Yeah. But I was nervous. Knicks fans were nervous last night, you know?
We were nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw that Siakam finally started to play well with the absence of OG Anunoby. OG was shutting his ass down. OG is so essential. I mean, we're down a lot of players right now. This is nerve-wracking for us. I think we're clearly the better team. I think even if you're a reasonable Pacers fan, you realize the Knicks are the better team. We're playing down 4 key players. It's crazy.
So that's what your answer would be, right? When I ask you, well, how did your confidence become something so shaky that in the second round it could be tested by a 6 seed? It's just the injuries, right?
Just the injuries, of course. I think losing OG Anunoby was a big blow because we had to play, and kudos Tibbs for adjusting. He went with the small ball lineup, and it worked out starting Deuce yesterday. So I liked it. And Precious gave us great minutes. And same, shout out Alec Burks for being, his number was called. I know a lot of Knicks fans were nervous with Alec Burks.
Not me.
He's been balling, dude.
Yep. I told Dan that guy can give you 20 points on any given night, and he's done it. He's done it twice. I mean, Dan, your thoughts? Apologize to Alec Burks.
He hadn't given you 20 points since February.
19 a game, the last 2.
The shirt. Take me, for the audio audience, Sam, just take me on a tour of the shirt you're presently wearing.
Isaiah Hartenstein, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Yeah, I've been a big Hartenstein supporter for a long time. Knicks fans, we believe in our players, and we don't like when major media people trash them. And that only made me a bigger Hartenstein fan, seeing how he didn't become shaken. He became powerful. He became a monster on the glass, and you saw it last night. His defense he's been the anchor for us. He's been amazing. And 12 offensive boards last night. This guy is we need him next year. I hope he stays a Knick. He's been incredible.
What'd you think of the Pacers coming out thinking they're a bunch of tough guys at the Mecca last night? Huh? Got a little chippy there, Sam.
I mean, Dante just made me think of like Jamie Kennedy in Malibu's Most Wanted, but like tough. You know what I mean? Like, I love that kid. I think he's like, he's just a badass. I love him. He's, yeah, man. It was a mix between that and like Rabbit and 8 Mile. Like this dude I believe in Dante. I think he's got that like 90s Knicks kind of edge to him. So does Josh Hart. We're a lot of tough players. And look, when Pacers fans are complaining, like Knicks fans, you want a tough series, but you complain about fouls. I don't care if it's physical. You just got to blow the whistle. It's hilarious that Pacers. I saw Bill Simmons post like, "Oh, the Knicks and Scott Foster." The Pacers were getting every call in the first half. It was comical, I thought, and they were getting every call in Game 3. Game 4 didn't matter because they beat our ass. But Game 3 and Game 5, Game 3 they gave them one back for what they thought they gave us in Game 1, and then last night they were getting every whistle. We just happened to outplay them.
WFAT. Now we do it.
I'm curious how it is that you're too nervous for a Game 5, but you'll be there for a Game 7.
Because it's a must win.
How do your nerves end up playing out? Did you really not go yesterday because you thought it would be too much for your anxiety and you don't like how you behave?
Well, I usually, if I don't go, I usually have people over, and I need to be alone.
So you have the people over, and they do what with you being this way? They know you well enough to know it's okay that he's screaming at the television?
Yeah, they like it. I have enough crazy people in my group that they go nuts too.
Did you ask Sam if he wanted a Game 7? No one wants a Game 7 when you're up 3-2.
It was an odd question.
Here's why I would tell you, like, maybe not fans, but if you're telling me
you want it.
Yes, I want it for a number of different reasons.
Pacers want a Game 7.
Yes. Here's my question when you say that it's odd, though, and I understand why you would say it. If you're confident in your team, if you tell me again and again that Mecca's the hardest place to play, and it's the greatest sound, and I want to remember something forever, and you're better than the other team, why not one game for everything? You get to watch it. You get to be there. You get to remember this series forever when Larry Johnson is making a 4-pointer.
I'll remember this series forever regardless. I want to end this thing in Indiana.
You will not.
Dan, I will. Jalen Brunson got hurt. He came back in the second half. I'll remember this series forever.
Yeah, also, Dan, I didn't appreciate your tone with the Mecca's the hardest place to play. It is the hardest place to play.
Right. Yes.
And the fans are the best. Are we going to talk about Draymond's ridiculous unlikability on TNT?
Well, let's play this sound for Sam and the audience.
Why does Knicks fans think I hate the Knicks, though?
Why do they? Because you did say you didn't like New York.
No, that's a lie.
But I thought you said.
I told the truth about the team. And the truth about the team was it's a fluke.
That's why they don't like you. That's why. But you're saying that their good season that they've had in the last whatever, you said is a fluke.
This year is what you said.
He said this year's team is a fluke.
Okay, so here's what I said.
A fluke.
I said this team, they're winning right now. And it could be, I think it's a setup like the Atlanta Hawks in 2021.
Right.
And if you remember back to maybe 2016-17, the Portland Trailblazers paid all of those guys because they had that one good year, and then they got jammed up. And I think this New York Knicks team could be a setup to get jammed up.
Is that what you're objecting to, or something else?
If you're comparing Alan Crabb and Al-Farouq Aminu to OG Anunoby and all these other guys, you're out of your mind. Knicks are a fluke. We're down 4 rotation players, including Julius Randle, an All-NBA guy. OG Anunoby, a defensive beast. You remember defense, Draymond. You used to play it before you went straight for the headlock. Remember? You want to talk about a fluke? You being in the Hall of Fame is a fluke, Draymond. If you aren't drafted the Warriors, not only are you not in the Hall of Fame, you might be in a psych ward right now, or best case playing in Europe. Steph saving your career is a fluke. No one else would be this patient with you. No other star. So maybe instead of trying to rain on our parade and the first joy we've had in years, let us enjoy it the way the rest of TNT, like Kenny Smith, is letting us enjoy it.
I love when you get pissed off.
Well, Draymond's not here. You know that, right, Sam? That's just a video.
No, he's directing.
I'm talking into the camera.
Right.
Listening.
Attaboy.
A genuine question, though, when it comes to this Knicks group. Like, if there are no moves made and you have this core moving forward for the next 5, 6, 7 years, this is the group. What do we think is the higher likelihood? That this group wins a championship or that they never get back to the conference finals again?
Ooh.
Because I kind of think it's probably the latter, given the people who were out in the East this year.
I think, first of all, if you think Trae Young has the leadership or the talent of Jalen Brunson, you don't watch basketball. Mm-hmm. Secondly, we are missing – do you not hear what I'm saying? We're missing 4 key players, and we're still doing this well. So I think you have to look at what our potential is. I think what you saw in January when Randall and OG and all the guys were just banging, we were a team that beats you up and wears you down. And we have to change our identity a little bit to compete luckily Tibbs has made adjustments, and I think he's made key adjustments, starting McBride yesterday, and having Precious come off the bench for energy. So, look, I think our ceiling is pretty damn high, and maybe we're not done making moves. That's why you stockpile first-round picks. I think there's a couple more moves Leon might make, but to act like we're a fluke and not in a great position, the best position we've been in 25 years. Draymond, I thought you were like a high IQ basketball guy. I thought that was your whole thing. I respect Draymond Green. I think he is a Hall of Fame player, but you clearly, I don't get the anger at New York. Like, we're just enjoying our team. We're just happy. We're having a good time. Why is everyone being like, well, this is a fluke. This isn't for real. If you saw your friend in love and he was like, not a cool guy, maybe hadn't found a woman in a while, would you be like, dude, this is bullshit? No.
I might.
No.
I might, actually.
Would you let him enjoy love?
It's a fluke.
He's screaming at the camera. Draymond, would you let me enjoy love, please? I am in love. I haven't felt this way about the Knicks this century.
Jeremy asked him a question, and he was still responding to Draymond
well,
Green.
this was real professional work by the professional comedian. I've seen coaches over the years say to themselves, I don't care what the questions are. I'm going to say what I want to say. He did get around to answering Jeremy's question, but he had a little more to slice off for Draymond there. He pissed you off last night. People are pissing you off, Sam.
It's a fluke.
Yeah. I mean, but I'll say this. I love when the media counts the Knicks out because I think this is a team that wants to be counted out. I think they thrive on it. I think it's fuel. When you saw Siakam, who, by the way, has looked meh, he's had a couple games, but talking shit to Jalen Brunson and Brunson going back, it's a long fucking series. I love that. I love that Jalen Brunson's like, let us be the humble guys. You guys talk your shit. Tyrese Halliburton talked a lot of shit in Indiana, and he can, but that's not our style. Our style is more like, we're tough, we're going to play ball, and let Tyrese talk a lot of shit because he was pretty quiet last night.
Are Sam and Stugotz surprised at all that Jalen Brunson already has more playoff points than Carmelo Anthony?
I'm not personally, and no disrespect to Carmelo, but I do think that Jalen is the best Knick since the 90s. I just think he's had a pretty big load in his shoulders, and he's delivered. He's been incredible.
I am surprised by that because no one could see this coming. Like, no one. Like, Carmelo, yeah, that is surprising. Like, Jalen Brunson in the moment, this is great, but no one could see, at least I couldn't see, that Jalen Brunson would arrive at a place where he has more playoff points than Carmelo.
It's a fluke.
I mean, how do you not look at Jalen Brunson and just love this guy? How do you not look at the whole team and love this team? They all were guys. They remind me a little bit of Detroit in 2004. A lot of guys who people kind of gave up on, like Rasheed Wallace, Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, guys that kind of didn't get their due. Ben Wallace, those types of players. How do you not like this team?
Stugotz has a revised list of top 5 Knicks of all time based on yesterday's proceedings, I guess. Number 5 or OLI?
I have OLI, yeah, I have a ton of them.
All right. You've got a lot of outside looking in.
Just some, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Dave DeBusschere. Bill Bradley. Earl the Pearl. Walt Clyde Frazier. Patrick Ewing. Nicotine. Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson.
You're just naming Knicks.
Number 5.
Nicotine has fallen out of the top 5.
It was number 1. That was a week ago. Today's today.
Number 5.
Alec Burks.
Number 4.
Deuce McBride.
3.
Dante DiVincenzo.
2.
Isaiah Hartenstein.
1.
The Mecca.
Sam, how do you feel about that list?
I love Isaiah Hartenstein. I love these guys, so I'm fine with it.
Thank you.
I think whatever it takes tampering wise, I will bring Hartenstein back. Maybe a tour of New York, something special to make him believe that this is the greatest city in the world. I hope we're able to keep him an OG. That's how I feel. So I think they're both key. going forward, and key to our defensive identity, which is what Knicks fans want. They want a defensive team always.
Sam, I know Brunson's been great in this series, but if the Knicks win the series MVP should go to the Mecca, right?
I think, look, it's a team game, man, and I love what Hardenstein said about the Knicks fans, where after Game 4 and the Knicks got crushed, he was like, "We don't deserve the amount of support they give us if this is how we're going to play." So I think they're aware of how great the Mecca is and how great the fans are, and I thought that was like a very, very smart thing for Isaiah to say. I think Josh Hart said something similar. So they know that it's an amazing place to play. There's some other great arenas in basketball, but I don't think anything touches MSG.
It's a fluke.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do you think the Knicks will be able to keep Hartenstein with a tour of New York?
You don't know how I do things, man. I got great restaurants lined up, whatever he needs.
It's likely going to come down to money.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was you giving the personal tour. I thought it was one of those duck tours.
It's going to be great. It's going to be a big off season. We're going to have fun. He's going to be like, "How could I leave the city? Katz's Deli. This is amazing. They don't have this in Charlotte, or whoever tries to court me. I don't know." We're going to keep him. It's going to be great.
Sam, if there is indeed a Game 7 that no Knick fan wants to see, but if there is one on Sunday, I would like to come. I'd like to sit courtside with you, and I am bringing along a good friend of mine if you're interested, okay? Adam Schefter. You, Schefter, courtside at a Knicks game. How do we get it done?
But you have to, wait a minute. You have to get him to get you now 2 tickets, or does Schefter have his own ticket?
These are pricey tickets. These are not easy to get.
Listen, it's on Dan, me, you, and Schefter. What do you think?
I think I'm going with Chrissy D on Sunday if there's a Game 7, but we'll see.
He's our senior Knicks correspondent. He's too scared and nervous to go see a Game 5. He's Sam Morril.
You understand? There's no choice in a Game 7. Game 5, I'm like, I can't.
You have to go.
Free throws I can't look at. I go fucking nuts. But Game 7 is do or die. So there's a Game 7, but man, I'm worried. I'm worried. Mostly about OG's health, because I do know we need him to make this Boston series even interesting. Because what's tough is having all these injuries in a year where I do think Boston is beatable. And we've had so much bad injury luck. Obviously, Boston's a great team, but I do think anything can happen in the playoffs, as we've seen, with your Miami Heat team beating them. Miami played a tough style basketball. And I think that this Knicks team has like a Knicks culture, and I think they could make it interesting, but it's going to be tough if we keep having these injuries.
He's the commissioner of fandom. He's our senior Knicks correspondent. He's got shows coming up in Lexington, in Southern California, Atlantic City, Rochester, and here in Miami. And I will tell you again, the Netflix special, it's excellent, as is all of his work. Same time tomorrow. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, guys. Go Knicks.
It's Mike Ryan in the chat room bringing you another classic interview. If you know me, you know that I love wrestling. So this throwback is one of my faves. It's none other than the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, a pioneer member of the WWE Hall of Fame. Let's go.
Is it possible for you to go anywhere, Dusty, without being recognized?
As I got older, they went to that. Didn't you used to be Dusty Rhodes? And stuff like that. So that's cool.
You can't go an entire day if you go out in public, go to a mall.
No, I'm going to see somebody.
Someone's going to know Dusty Rhodes.
Somewhere I touched their life, and that's the cool part about it. Whether you understand our industry or not, I touched somebody's life that meant something to them, and that was really cool.
Back in the day, though, when someone goes funky like a monkey on you in a restaurant, like back in the day, does it get annoying?
It for a while was it's cool, you know what I mean? Because I grew up in Austin, Texas, and my dad was a plumber, and would just and you wanted to achieve something just like yourself. You want Dan's job. I mean, he's on vacation, and
no, I'd rather be here with you, to be honest. Yeah.
But I mean, and as it went on, as time went on, it got really bad for a while in the 70s and 80s. In Miami and down here, and I used to come down here and play dominoes.
Little solitude,
little peace.
yeah.
It's cool, man.
They leave you alone, right?
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, and if someone recognizes you, what is the thing they'll most often say to you?
Man, when are you and Flair going to get back together?
Is it flattering, though? It's got to be flattering when people still want to see you and Ric Flair fight, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's got to be flattering. I mean, it's, like you say, years ago.
I came down last week to I won't name the names, but to a place there. A guy was retiring from the 70s, and the Jewish guys came in from New York and opened a huge business here, and all he wanted was to have lunch with the American Dream, and lunch just in his office. So they flew me down, showered me with food, showed me around the place. He had lunch, and it was just so cool, man, and he knew everything.
Who's responsible for the American Dream? Who's responsible for that nickname? Is it you? Was it Vince McMahon? Who came up with it?
No, in '74 here in Florida, Garden Soul and myself was on the television, and one day I just said, it came out of my mouth, and it stuck it was amazing, and it wasn't so egotistical to say, hey, I'm the American Dream. What it was about was that this kid from Texas can headline Madison Square Garden. That's what I always wanted to do, and when I did it,
and sell it out,
and sell it out,
yeah,
and sell the Forum out next door to it.
Is there a single greatest wrestling memory that you have? A particular moment in the ring?
It was the second match in Madison Square Garden with superstar Billy Graham, and it was an amazing moment because there were so many luminaries there and so many people there that were closet wrestling fans that came out, and the horses and the yellow blocking the streets outside, and the Forum sold out. It was an amazing moment, and when it was over, when the bell rung, I can honestly say I didn't want to leave the ring. We had no music back then, had no pyro, and I looked across at Superstar, and he looked at me, and it's like we had nothing else to do, so we was trying to think of something to do so we could stay out there.
Dusty, did wrestling hurt? Did it hurt you? Is your body hurt?
Yeah, it's hurt because we were 87. I flew 288 days on an airplane in 1987, and day after day, hitting the mat. You see my elbow; it's just deformed in a way that it's not fixable, but. It only hurt for a little while, just to move on. That's what I chose to do. It's my vocation.
When Dan and Stugotz have athletes on, they'll always ask them football players, and they've suffered concussions, or when they get up in the morning, everything hurts. And Dan always says, would you trade it if you knew the pain you were going to be in today? And to a man, everyone says no. They loved what they did.
I said it right off. I mean, that goes on forever. And anybody that says it doesn't, it's crazy.
Pretty fun being Dusty Rhodes back in the day.
It was fun, yeah.
The women throwing themselves at you left and right.
Oh, my goodness, man. You know that old rule down in Texas, if you're 25 miles out of town, they don't count?
Explain that out a little bit.
That's a good rule.
Explain that out.
That's a great rule right there.
Well, now, Dusty, I can learn something for you because I'm married here. So what are you trying to say here? Explain
well, if you get over to Fort Lauderdale, you're okay.
I've always told my wife our marriage is legal in every state but Nevada.
Yeah.
So you're telling me just get 25 miles away from my home? I'm free to do
25 miles, it don't count, man. It will not hold up in court. Honest to God.
In court, really? You check the legalities of
yes.
it? All right, Dusty, we love having you in here.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Roy, I don't know how you feel today. The Panthers had the Boston Bruins cornered. You want to end that at home. I know you've been afraid at no point during this series, but your general feeling.
Are you going to ask Roy if he wants a Game 7?
Okay, you guys are making fun of me for this, but I thought Game 7s at home are fun and the greatest thing. And
when you're losing the series,
yes,
and you force it.
Right.
If you're winning and you
right.
choke to get to Game 7, not as fun.
Rare is the team up 3-2 that wants to force a Game 7. I mean,
understood, but you guys are always telling me how confident you are and how hard it is to
right.
play in New York, and you don't have real confidence about it if you're terrified of a Game 7 and simply don't want it under any circumstances.
But you were asking Roy, the Panthers had him cornered, had it done. You want to get it done at home. You don't want to go back to Boston. I feel like Roy is still confident. I can't believe I'm saying this.
I would love a Game 7 at home, and I don't want that series to end in Boston. I want it brought back here, and I want maximum stakes on everybody.
I would like this series to end in Boston, Dan. I mean, I would like them to go to the Eastern Conference Final and face either the Rangers or the Hurricanes, most likely the Rangers.
But you're not rattled. You're good.
I'm fine.
Really?
Yes.
My favorite part of last night's game, other than that we lost, like that part sucked, but Maurice yelling at the team to inspire, and we get a goal right after.
So 11 seconds after that tirade.
We have the video of, I think it's B-roll, where we can just see him laying into the team. There's a fan longing for him, and that's the way I look at Paul Maurice.
Longing for Paul Maurice just by watching him just coach, just be a coach.
He was just laying into the team, and I see this clip, and then the fan, oh my God, it's me. It's the way I would look at him, just longing.
And you just think that it's
sexy.
Sexy. You're claiming.
Look at right here. You can see it. Look at the guy in the background. Look at the way he's looking at Maurice there. That's the way I look at him. I love him. And look, he's telling his friend. He's like, he's yelling at him.
You're just gazing at him longing.
Do we have an ISO of just the look? I love this guy.
Because his veins are in his neck bulging.
Hockey coach. I mean.
I'm afraid that the one Hall of Famer that has joined us today is snoring in the back next to Jeremy. Mike Ryan came running in today to executive produce again. He's pushed Chris out of the chair in order for all of us to celebrate the one true Hall of Famer who is here. Bernie, the Heat mascot, has arrived, and we need to vote him into the Hall of Fame. Billy has yelled and screamed at the Mascot Hall of Fame Executive Committee because he thinks it's communist.
Well, they just don't respect your vote. I mean, you can vote for Bernie. You can, I guess, you can vote for them to get into the Hall of Fame, but here's the thing. They don't care about your votes. They're just going to do whatever they want. They proved that with Billy the Marlin, and it's a sham. But I hope you guys get in. But
What do you mean, you guys? We've got Bernie is going to make the Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, there's a big class. Multiple people get in every year.
Who are the others in the class, and do you think they rise to the level? We said before that the state of Florida, has never had a mascot in the Hall of Fame.
Billy the Marlin was voted in by the fans, and then the Hall of Fame didn't let him in for some reason.
We got to talk to somebody to get some questions answered. Lucy, you love mascots. You told me you were very excited to have Bernie in today.
Look, I'm looking at the Mascot Hall of Fame right now, and Little Red for Nebraska made it, and he's a freak, so I don't trust the voting.
Oh, wow. All right, let's get someone on to answer some
From the
questions.
Hall of Fame, yes.
To put them under the interrogation lights and ask them why. I want to ask them the question of Billy, if you ask for fan vote and then don't respect it, what are you doing?
Well, it's just 1/3 of the voting process. The committee gets in, and then I guess if they get in, they get votes. It's a loaded class this year. Big Al is there from the University of Alabama. The Leprechaun from Notre Dame is there. Mrs. Met is there. I wonder if Mr. Met wants Mrs. Met in the Hall of Fame or not. Or if Mr. Met just wants to have the Hall of Fame be Mr. Met's thing.
Wait a minute. That is loaded. You just gave two that I think...
New Jersey Devil is there. Purdue Pete. Orbit.
Purdue Pete?
Rosie Red. Talon. Jackson DeVille. Lucille.
Lucy, what is your problem with Purdue Pete?
What isn't my problem with Purdue Pete? Have you seen that freak?
Muscular.
He is like if death were a mascot. He's terrifying.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Is Purdue Pete like if death were a mascot?
None of these mascots have ever been arrested, am I right?
Sebastian is truly Miami.
Fist me.
Purdue Pete has been arrested. He got arrested like 2 years ago.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
What is
at like a McDonald's or something. I'm not even joking.
For murder?
Not for murder.
Oh.
What is the backstory, please, on Purdue Pete being arrested? Because I did not have Chris Cody getting that so immediately wrong.
Yeah.
Alleged battery and disorderly conduct at a McDonald's. I'll look more.
You know what?
I sit corrected.
Okay, you know what? All right, Purdue Pete. Do it in a game. Sebastian did it during a game. He did it during a big game. He got arrested on the road. He got arrested. Let's go. Not buying a burger, Purdue Pete.
Well, it was assault, we said, yeah.
Well, he didn't get arrested for buying a burger. I know that, Meadowlark consultant Billy Gill.
Was he in costume? I mean,
the reason that both of these mascots sitting with us deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, they invented stuff. Bernie invented the hip thrust. Oh, yeah.
Did he invent that? Please don't do that to me.
Bernie, did you invent the hip thrust?
Very uncomfortable. Don't ever do that
I'll do it again.
No, please don't do
Like
that.
that thing, I don't have a thing.
Let Bernie do it.
You
Let Bernie do it.
You have it.
But this is awkward. And what he did, the side, like splitting his mouth thing. Who else does that?
There it is.
I think that might actually be something that Sebastian the Ibis did indeed invent. I don't know if Bernie invented.
No, he did. Look it up.
Well, you were wrong about the arrest thing, though.
Your mascot information.
Should I do it again?
Is not exceptional.
No.
You know what? I would like, now that you've mentioned it, for you to do it the remainder of the segment.
Oh, come on, man.
We only have
happens,
18
Chris.
minutes
Sitting
left.
next to him.
Trying to teach
Go
you.
ahead and stand up and hold the microphone to you and go ahead and do that while I get Roy's hockey analysis that makes Bernie snore. You don't have any concerns. You have said that a number of different times and ways, but I was not expecting that. I know the hardest game to get against tough teams is the desperate one that will end their season, but given the way the last 3 games looked for Florida, I was genuinely surprised by that result.
Well, the Bruins limited the Panthers' shots, especially in the first period. For the first half of this game, it was pretty much all Bruins, and the Panthers really could not control the puck. I mean, they were giving the puck away. There were 2 transition opportunities on their power play that went back for breakaways. It just wasn't very good. I mean, Carter Verhaeghe didn't have a good game. Matthew Tkachuk didn't.
The power play was bad. Our
the
power play was bad. We've looked great on the power play, and last night was rough.
Give Swayman some credit, though, Roy. He was great
yes,
last night.
he was great last night. Yeah. Bob was also good, but yeah, I mean, the Panthers played their way out of that game.
Reinhart scored a goal. How about score more than 1 goal?
Yeah,
because there
Reinhart
was plenty of opportunities. No, Sam Reinhart was not great. There were plenty of opportunities there at the end of the game to score more goals, and Sam Reinhart is just missing them.
No, Sam Reinhart was good on both sides of the puck. So and Alexander
he
Balzar
missed
was
one
good
late. He had a
defensively.
big one, a chance late with the net.
To
open.
Billy's point, he had 8 shots. I mean,
well, let me
But
explore.
Paul Maurice screams at him and says, "Score more goals, right now."
Mm-hmm.
Well,
he did.
People are giving Paul Maurice a lot of credit for the game before that the Panthers scored immediately after he gave some sort of pep talk. They scored immediately after, as if the guy in a suit on the sideline.
Are they required to wear suits? I've been wondering this because I don't know the rules of hockey, but they're always wearing suits. Are they required to? Because what if you could just wear a hoodie? Because it seems a lot more comfortable.
John Tortorella did not wear a suit this season in Philadelphia. I think he was the only coach that did that.
That's it. There's no rule. They all it's an unwritten rule among all of them. We're gonna wear suits even though there's not a dress code.
I guess so because Tortorella was the only person that didn't do it this season.
But you're a hockey expert. Wouldn't you know if there were a dress code or not
Like a
dress
uniform
code?
dress code.
A dress code for coaches.
I mean,
in the National Hockey League.
There's about to be for basketball coaches. There's going to be again, and there used to be. You're tired, Chris. You're
My
worn.
legs hurt.
You're worn out. Okay, you lasted 2.5 minutes doing what Bernie does.
How I roll.
This is why Bernie's a Hall of Famer. You lasted 2.5 minutes doing what Bernie has done for decades.
I mean, he does it in small increments, though. He doesn't do it for 5 minutes
They're
straight.
not small. What I know of Bernie, nothing about that area is small.
Huh.
What do you know about Bernie?
Well, I like costumes, as you know. I like costumes, as you know.
Yeah.
I was surprised to hear Billy come at the expertise of Roy Bellamy because Jeremy got to watch the game with Roy Bellamy last night, and it was like a tutorial. You would not know from Roy's Twitter that you could do a lot of learning about hockey by just sitting next to Roy.
Roy's Twitter often helps me also, honestly, because it's descriptive of what's actually going on in the game. But last night was incredible for me because I was sitting next to Roy in our Meadowlark media seats at the Panthers game, and he was just through speaking maybe to himself, I'm not even sure he was really speaking to me, but talking about the game, I felt more locked in and understanding everything about the approach, the rules than I ever have. And I've been following, obviously, the Panthers for the last several years professionally. Roy made me feel like a more informed hockey fan.
It's why one day he will have a picture and his name on a wall there celebrating his legendary status covering the Panthers since their inception.
Right next to Bill Lindsay.
Roy's Twitter account is great. Like if the ESPN app goes down and you can't watch the game, you have no idea what's going on. Roy will like tweet play-by-play of what's happening in the Panthers game, and it's all fact-based.
All right, there is a source of contention here. Let's discuss this now. I want to discuss this because
Thank
Roy,
you, Dan.
yes, because Stugotz and I yesterday were having a conversation with Roy because I would argue that this team of people, our show, is mean to Roy's Twitter account.
No, falsehoods.
Roy. Is this show, yes or no? You can say sure again if you want. Yes or no, this show is mean to your Twitter account.
Sure. I mean, I'm not very happy with how people are displaying. I mean, Magic Johnson of hockey is not exactly why I would respond to my Twitter account. I mean, I'm telling you the information that you need to know in real time.
But it is very fact-based, and I would say it's probably a bit different than what Jeremy is learning sitting next to you, but he's saying that he's also learning from your Twitter account.
Most of the times when you're compared to Magic Johnson, it's a great thing.
Not in this situation.
Just not Twitter.
No.
The only spot, really.
I've given my opinion during the games as well. I mean, I guess some of y'all have missed it.
It gets lost because your Twitter account turns into essentially a game log.
Yeah, yes, exactly. It does get lost within that, yes.
Don't change a thing, Roy.
I agree with him.
Yes,
Don't change a thing.
right, yeah.
There was last year when I was covering the Stanley Cup final, I was trying to support Roy by retweeting everything that he tweeted, and it was great engagement. So people love it.
Yeah, he copied everything I said and posted it under his account, basically. So,
Retweeted.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
That's not exactly retweeting. That's copying and pasting, and
Retweeted.
posting under your name is not retweeting. It's just treating.
Thanks, Sebastian. Sebastian gets it.
That's Metal Art consultant Billy Gill, ladies and gentlemen, always helping everybody. Just retweeting Roy because he loves him so much and wants to be a supportive
Of course,
teammate.
exactly right.
Consulting,
Sebastian
Dan.
gets it.
It wasn't retweeting. It was just tweeting.
How's it going, Bernie?
The mascots aren't allowed to speak, Billy. Go sit in the penalty box.
What?
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
Just
For
go
trying
sit
to
in-
include people, trying to support my teammates
For
yet again,
not helping
getting
the show.
punished.
You were actively asking a question to produce dead air, Billy. Not helpful.
No, it's
Not-
checking
not-
his
he
question.
can't talk. He's not allowed to
How
talk.
do you know?
He'll get fired. I tried to talk to him before the show.
Well,
Why would
bring
you
up
try
something.
and talk to him? I told you they can't talk.
Hold on a second. So I'm getting kicked out for doing exactly what you did.
Outside.
Outside. Oh,
Dead air.
Middle finger.
Dead air does not hurt the show if the show's not on the air, Metal Art consultant.
It's possible that Bernie and Sebastian have lots of things to say. We just don't ask the right questions.
Bernie, Sebastian, go sit with Billy in the penalty
Oh,
box.
they don't deserve
Wow.
These are Hall of Famers everywhere. Soon to be Hall of Famers that you kick out of the studio.
Take 3 Hall of Famers.
Take the dead air
Punishment king,
outside.
too.
Not a penalty.
It is. I've accidentally rewarded him.
You gave him a
Damn
gift.
it, the inside man got me again. I gave him a gift. He gets to go sit outside, not work, wreck the show, and enjoy the dead air out there with them because the mascots aren't allowed to talk. And it's a maximum asshole move on a show we're doing together. Out, Bernie.
Oh, man.
All 3 of you, go sit in the penalty box.
Catching a stray.
It's Billy's fault. All 3 of you go sit crowded in a crowded penalty box. I also want, by the way, I'd like some imaging. I meant to send this last night to the group. I want some imaging that has a whistle blowing and a being sent to the penalty box. When it's Jeremy, I want 2 minutes high shticking and stuff like that.
I like that.
I want
like that.
I want jokes in the penalty box with these clowns.
Dan, I kind of feel like you're being a bad host because first you send them to the penalty box, then you don't tell them where it is or what it is. Bernie was just lost back here. He thought Billy's seat was the penalty box.
Wow.
So I think you should go.
Metal Art.
What?
Okay.
Oh, no.
I am
This
now
is gonna
looking
work
at
out
all penalties in the NHL to try to find some wordplay that we can have for. I like
Slashing?
high sticking. Yes.
You guys slashing?
I'm not gonna lie. Last night it made me laugh. Anytime, and it's juvenile, it's immature, but anytime there's a hooking penalty, I laugh. It's like 2 minutes for hooking. Because I
Right.
just imagine like this defenseman for Boston hooking.
But how do we apply that name to someone in our crew when we call a penalty on and send someone to the box? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm searching for. I'm searching for more high sticking, because that's perfect.
What, slashing?
Yes, but for who?
Cross-checking.
When you say something unproductive, it could be boarding.
Okay,
For
see, now
boarding,
that works.
For boring.
Yeah, that works.
I
Right
like
there.
it.
Yeah.
2 minutes for boring.
Go to the penalty box, Jerry.
Oh, no. No.
High
Oh,
sticking.
no.
Can't believe you used my own wordplay against me.
What a fun penalty box that looks like. I mean, outside of Dan, what a blast that must be, no?
I feel like they're both Hall of Famers. Maybe
Yes.
it's just my South Florida bias, but
Right.
and then the fact that Billy the Marlin was ahead of these two, like if you think of South Florida mascots, these are the two you think of.
Are they?
I mean, Billy the Marlin is
Stanley C. Panther.
But how about the state of Florida? Because Dan was making the point that no mascot in the state of Florida has made it to the Mascot Hall of Fame. And Dan's larger point, and he's correct, is that we should probably have someone from the Hall of Fame on, not the mascots who can't talk.
That's a good point, yeah.
Why, speaking of mascot, why was Stanley the Sea Panther last night in this first period? He was just wearing like a bathing suit with no shirt on.
But not just that. He has a 6-pack.
I know he
or
does.
8-pack,
I
actually.
guess that's why. If you got it, flaunt it. But I was just thinking, this is playoff time. This is not the middle of the season. It's beach day, so he's in beach. Like I need Stanley C. Panther in his normal attire. It's game 5 here, folks.
Well, the situation is it was 96 degrees yesterday. That's why.
Is that why you did it?
Yeah.
I don't
it's
need
hot.
jokes with my mascots in the playoffs.
When things get a little too intense and testosterone filled, Lucy or Jess can call too many men.
So all the time.
I like it.
That's a good one. That's
Too
a good
many
one. I like
men.
that.
Too
I
many
like that.
men.
That's a good one.
Boring instead of boarding. We're trying to do wordplay.
Yeah.
We'll figure this out off air. It's
High
probably
sticking is
something
great.
that should be. I meant to send that last night and I forgot. Can you guys help me with other Paul Maurice video that we have? Because I don't know the context, Chris Cody, on something that you wanted to show us on not just Paul Maurice being sexy when he yells at people, according to you, but was his post-game stuff too? Because you guys have argued that he's giving great post-game now, better than most coaches are.
Yeah, it's basically a stand-up routine. He's doing this basically to calm down the fans. Like, he's not worried about it. Why should I?
So let's hear Paul Maurice here, because this person was called by Zaslow the killer of fun. Paul Maurice came here and reinvented what playoff hockey looks like for South Florida. Stugotz, it's honestly been strange to see. It's something that I don't have enough of a working understanding of the sport, and I think very few of us have the expertise to actually understand what the depths of what these people do for a living. But it is truly baffling to me that an organization could go from we're playing a historic brand of hockey in the regular season that has no offensive precedent in the league. And when this was 2 years ago. And when that gets into the playoffs, it's going to die at the feet of people who coach and make their team play like Paul Maurice. Then they went and got an assortment of players to play exactly the dirty type of stuff that makes people crazy. And they reinvent themselves as a hockey team that can actually win in the postseason because you have to play differently. I don't understand how Paul Maurice did that. I don't understand the intricacies of it.
Well, transition offense doesn't really work in the playoffs. That's the problem. The Panthers' offense back then was more on the rush, going back the other way. Now it's just about forechecking and board battles. What do you take? But it was just dumping it in. You can carry it in as well, so long as you win the puck back. If you give the puck in the offensive zone, you get the puck back. You get second chances. You get screens in front.
Boston was trapping last night, though. So I feel like the way they were playing the Panthers, you got to just dump it down there.
Yeah,
that's the way we're going to get our goals.
They were basically doing what the Panthers have done all season.
Roy, you say that matter-of-factly, though, but you believed in that team 2 years ago. You thought it was so good at offense that perhaps it could overcome what playoff hockey is, and then they immediately get strangled and swept by the Lightning, and you were confused. So you say it matter-of-factly now as if you understand it, but I remember back then you believed that that hockey team was so good at offense that it was going to be able to overcome playoff hockey cliches.
Yeah, well, I believed in that team back then. I believe in this team now.
Bernie's wearing a piece.
Now Lucy's wearing it.
Wait a minute. Did you know?
Oh, my God.
Did you know that
Hold on
Hall
a
of
second.
Famer Bernie the Mascot wore a toupee? This is breaking news right here. This is shocking. I cannot believe the worst thing a mascot can do is lose his head, but this is the second worst thing.
Strong hairline from Bernie, though. Very strong.
It's not a bad look for Sebastian.
I had no idea. Wait a minute. Wait, it is a great look for Sebastian.
Yep.
Sebastian, give me one of these. Put a pause up. Let's see how that looks on you.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. No.
He will not do pause up. Look, you thought you were going to trick him into
Just,
doing
you know,
FIU stuff?
rebrand here.
I think between the two of you, we can get you into the Hall of Fame there with Bernie's toupee. I had no idea Bernie wore a toupee, that he had a hair implant. I'm shocked by that. Let's play that Paul Maurice sound of him. This was described as stand-up comedy. I believe that's overselling what we're about to hear, but let's hear what we get from our sexy coach.
Paul, you definitely woke them up. They scored 11 seconds after the TV timeout there in the second period. What was the message there, and what was your thought on the goalie interference?
I don't know the exact words of the message. I felt that a little fire. I wasn't mad at them. Understood what they were going through. Just thought they needed some profanity in their life. I brought some. I don't excel a lot of things in life, but me, am I good at that? You see how I did that?
That's coaching, man.
Well, that's kind of comedy.
I don't know why it is that the average sports fan watches ballerinas on razor blades at a high rate of speed and thinks to themselves, you know what'll take that team over the top? The guy in the suit cursing. If he curses, that's what'll fix what's happening out here. I know they
believe in that.
I know they've worked all their life to be these amazing creatures who skate on razor blades and put their faces in front of the puck. They're already playing in the playoffs. They want to win very badly at sports, but what they need is the guy in the suit to curse a few times, then they'll remember to score.
Ballerinas on razor blades, that would be figure skaters, Nancy Kerrigan,
Tanya Harding, yeah. Dad, sometimes your message gets across more clearly when you just throw in a couple of curse words. It does. Yeah, it really hammers home the message. I'm telling you.
Jeremy, what are you bent over laughing at?
Just the clarification on ballerinas on skates.
You
were using language.
I want. Thank
You're
you.
a writer.
Yeah, Jeremy. Yes, thank you. And I don't understand the correction yet. What's happening with you? Because your Panthers are good. The other day you said to me on air in front of everyone, "No, actually, Dan," you interrupted me, and you said, "No, actually, Dan, I've got a better question."
He did that.
Yeah, I did that to the journalist. Yeah,
that was after you and me argued in the meeting before the show. We argued about whether or not the Panthers had indeed pulled one out of their ass. You're out of control, and I would think that you would have taken last night's loss and been a little bit sheepish about it, but you've come in just as aggressive today.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. I'm a bit over-aggressive right now. I'm just waiting for them to win on Friday and go on and possibly play the Rangers.
Are you worried, Roy? I feel like you're worried.
Is it time to worry?
No, this is not Roy. This is not the Roy I know.
No,
it's supposed to be scary, guys.
Well, hold on. What if the Panthers lose the next game? Will you be worried?
I'll be worried.
But you're coming home.
Yeah, you're coming back home for Game 7.
Do you want a Game 7?
No, I don't want a Game 7. I want the series to be over. What the hell's the matter with you?
Sounds scared.
Our thanks to Bernie and Sebastian the Ibis.
Wait, hold on, Dan. You should tell people to vote for them.
I'm
Go
going
to MascotHallOfFame.com.
Well, doesn't matter.
And also, in the time that's left,
You
I'm
guys
consultant.
you guys do
So
it.
I'm thinking
You
maybe
guys-
each of them gives a speech as to why we should vote them in to the Hall of Fame.
That's a great
You
idea.
want Dan to give that speech.
No, I wasn't. If they wanted to say it,
Right.
maybe throw in some profanities a la Paul Maurice if you want.
All right, there you go.
No?
Go ahead, Sebastian. You first. All right, Bernie.
He should be in based on that.
Oh, well said.
Yeah,
That's
there you
how a
have it.
Hall of Famer does it.
Bernie
I
seemed
mean,
like
I
more of
gotta
a
tell you.
threat.
Yeah.
No.
We're going to vote.
Better vote.
Both mascots, we're going to vote. Our votes mean nothing, okay?
Well, but don't tell people that. Your votes count.
Well, we should have gotten someone on from the Hall of Fame while they were in studio with us.
For Sebastian, you could also just type in Mike.
Yeah.
Thought that joke would go better.
I try.
They loved it.
Well, they can't laugh.
I gave you a little laugh. I mean, this mascot gave you a little laugh, okay?
Stugotz, you have heard me obsess recently on air about everything that I see happening during technological changing times in how we consume just about everything. And now Netflix and Apple and Peacock are getting together to create a bundle for Comcast at a reduced price, and Netflix has bought itself Christmas Day games for the next 3 years. And the other day, sports stopped for a moment during a pretty busy time in basketball and hockey to laugh with football at the Tom Brady roast that was live on television. And by every measure I can discern, a really enormous investment and a really enormous success. I would like for you guys to get me some numbers. I don't know if there have been estimates on how much that cost to produce. It seemed like a giant undertaking that would cost, I think, more than $100 million to make. I've got to assume. I don't know how much more. I don't have any idea how much it costs to pay all of those people to do all of that and to throw a flawlessly televised live event. Those are very hard to do for 3 hours without glitches. And Tom Brady now regrets it. I was surprised that he ever did it at all.
Same.
I was surprised that he had a blind spot about how that might land on his children to be products of a public divorce that has to be very hard because, Stugotz, I know so many people who are broken as adults because of the damages done by divorces that aren't that kind of public. And it really did surprise me that as a father, Tom Brady would be not knowledgeable about what the impacts of that could be on his children.
I know he has his regrets. I understand why, and perhaps it wasn't thought through enough. But most of the roasters went out of their way to not directly talk about Tom Brady's kids.
Oh, but Stugotz.
But hold on. I was going to say, but they talked about his relationship with Giselle, his relationship with Bridget Moynihan, and of course, and they said nasty things. And of course, that is going to have an impact on his children. And I'm surprised Tom Brady, who seems to be pretty prepared for everything, did not think that part through before he went forward with the roast.
So he says he wouldn't ever do anything like that again. Not surprising that Stugotz would be maximum Monday morning quarterback on how did Tom Brady not see everything.
I mean, he saw everything the Jets were doing. I mean, before it happened.
That is correct. Mm-hmm. And it's easy for me to also say after the fact. I'm not a father, right? And I'm not, I don't know anything about divorce except I've seen what it's done to some of my friends who are adults who have formative characteristics that come from not knowing as a child, is that my fault that they're no longer together? Why are mom and dad not together anymore? And then to hear the jokes on television of, hey, how about mom cheating with the jiu-jitsu instructor? That's funny, huh? As a child, or getting that at school, or whatever it is the results are, that Gisele Bündchen, were the quotes from her, or was it just reported how upset she was? Were the quotes, did they have her name on saying she was upset, or was it just reports that said that she was upset? Because when you sign up for that, you're allowing a whole bunch of people who don't have to respect the rules in comedy.
Correct.
In that setting to have maximum freedom outside of Bob Kraft.
Right. Well, Dan, you have to factor that in because Giselle is watching that and they are laying into her and their relationship and how it ended. And Tom Brady doesn't get up and say, hey, stop doing that. But the second they go after Bob Kraft, he stands up and says, no more. You're not doing that.
Bob was there and she wasn't. I felt like the Bob thing felt like he was just performing because he told Bob, hey, I told them no jokes about you. So they do a joke. So he's just got to get up and be like, hey, don't do that.
Wait a minute. Are you not paying attention to what was said on our show and elsewhere? That was not that was not a bit.
I'm not saying it's a
Tom
bit.
No, Tom Brady was legitimately mad that Jeff Ross crossed the line. Andrew Schultz has said that. Drew Bledsoe said that the tension was not manufactured. In fact, I thought it was super interesting to see how much more comfortable Tom Brady is with confrontation than the rest of us might be in that circumstance, because Tom Brady had no issue in front of a whole lot of people protecting the power by stamping out Jeff Ross on his home field.
My first thought when that happened was, wow, I can't believe that is what is making him do it and not the countless jokes about his family or kids.
That's what I'm saying.
I hope that his kids didn't watch it. I hope he had like the sensibility to say, hey, don't do it. But also in this day and age, like that was my entire TikTok feed the next day. His kids probably saw that. And I would say like, hey, if my dad wanted to do a roast, if he was like, no, you don't talk about Progressive Insurance that way. But yeah, go ahead, talk about Lucy like that. I would not be happy.
I'm a little confused. You guys mean to tell me that Tom Brady made a career decision that negatively affected his family and he didn't think about it?
Billy, what
that doesn't sound like that guy.
What are you laughing about?
Her dad
Billy?
works for Progressive,
No,
which
I
is an
noticed
important part of that story, though,
that's
is
correct.
absent.
That is, thank you, Billy. I would think that you would,
Consulting.
yes, you more than anybody around here would totally appreciate making a joke that nobody understands except for a couple of people.
I've said he's worked for Progressive before, and I've also talked about his divorce on air before. I've talked about a lot of things.
Lucy, I agree, but welcome to the Meadowlark family, thinking all the things you've said on the show have been heard by all of America. That is how we do it. We think you've heard every single thing we've said for 20 years and remember it. Billy, more than most.
And now they all know my dad is divorced.
Correct. And that you
Available, though? Or?
No, not available. Shout out Angela. Big fan.
Shout out Angela.
I saw you making faces when I said product of divorce. I don't want to dig around in what it is that are the adult damages of that for you, but just imagine, how old are Tom Brady's kids? I want you to imagine whatever it is that happens on school. And this is the part where, Stugotz, I forgive Tom Brady for not understanding. Even telling your kids not to pay attention to somebody, turn off the television, whatever, go out for the night.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way for this to be avoided once it starts circulating in places like TikTok for kids. And so it's not just your kids what they're going to get, but it's what all their kids at school, all of their friends are going to get. And now your kids are going to school. It is very real remorse that Tom Brady is feeling. When you do, Stugotz, help me with this because I am not a parent. Help me with what it feels like to love and to know that you've made a decision that harms your children and you didn't see it coming.
I embarrass my kids just about every single day. I've been doing it for 20 years, so I'm an expert on this subject. It's hard, and especially with Tom's kids. Dan, here are their ages, 16, 14, and 11. Kids are cruel at that age. They are relentless, and they are cruel. So what must have happened within those, friendly circles, and at school the next day, and it's probably still going on, I would imagine is relentless and uncomfortable for those kids. But it is hard, Dan, because I am playing Monday morning quarterback. It is hard to see all the permutations that could come from, having yourself roasted by Jeffrey Ross. Did I say that word right?
What was the word? What was the word?
I can't say it again.
Well, try it.
That's the closest I'll ever come.
Well, try.
Permutations?
Oh, no.
That's it.
Mutation.
How do you think you spelled
Permutations?
Yeah.
It's just, how do you spell
That's
it?
closer.
I was going there, Dan. I was trying to help you out. I was giving you, you asked an expert about embarrassing his kids, and I was trying to help you out and tell you what it's like.
It was helpful.
It's hard to see, it's hard. It really is. When you're filming me and I'm smoking cigarettes and I'm doing a bit, the impact it will have on my children, I didn't think of that stuff when I was doing it, when I was in the middle of it, and I wish I had, but I didn't. But Lord knows, no one has embarrassed their kids more than me.
Let me address, though, the idea.
Tom Brady's got nothing on me.
Let me address the idea of what the impact of divorce is. The three children you talked about, the youngest are Giselle and Tom. So it's 14 and 11.
Right.
And the difficulty of those formative years. I will tell you that my wife lost her mother at 12 years old to death, and it is a formative thing that has formed almost the entirety of who she is. And while this isn't death, it can feel like it to kids of that age, even if the parent is still around, because you have lost somebody, and unlike death, in many instances, you blame yourself because you're not adult enough to remove yourself from where the guilt is. This isn't true for everybody, but I've seen it enough at this age and younger. I have a friend who his parents got divorced, and as a toddler, he did not speak for 2 years after that. Now, that's a toddler.
Right.
But wherever it is you go to get the things that feel like love for the rest of your life, your parents divorcing is hard enough by itself. Your parents divorcing because cheating may or may not have involved is hard enough itself. But now add to the element this, all of the kids in the school you're in now know every single thing. And all of comedy is piling on to mommy.
Right. The other thing with Brady is he didn't have to do this. He didn't have to do it. Like, there's no reason to do it. I mean, I act like a jackass because I have to. I embarrass my kids because I have to. Tom Brady didn't have to do this to his children.
Could you say this is a transition into his media career doing this?
I don't know why he did it. I mean, that would be my best guess, but I'm still not sure why he did it.
He said he did it as a favor to Jeff Ross because he thought it would be funny. The Roastmaster General suggested it. It made – how many people watched this? Because the numbers were really good. It was a success in every way but this. But what a heartbreak for Tom Brady to have it be a success in every way but this, to create the regret and guilt of, I wouldn't do that again. What a horror for my children. I don't know that there's something in the emotional realm that doesn't involve like actual loss that can feel worse to a parent who's actually loving than to have a blind spot about how you harmed your child unnecessarily. I don't know how the disappointment, if you don't care as a parent, if you're not trying to be a good parent, if you think kids need to be more adult, okay, but if you're an actually loving person who cares deeply about the kids and is hurt by the product of divorce, if you then on top of that make a giant public mistake that harms them and you didn't see it coming, that one hurts, man. Even I know he's superhuman, but that one hurts.